Acura is bringing back the ZDX nameplate. This is a very historic nameplate for Acura and was very successful for Acura, bringing a whopping 6,118 units sold in the United States. Acura ZDX, or Precision EV Concept, is Acura's late entry into the electric vehicle realm. The ZDX is going to be built on GM's Ultium platform, and that is also shared with the Chevy Blazer and also the Cadillac Lyriq, before moving to their own platform in 2026. Personally, I don't mind this move in the slightest. GM, when they put their minds to something, can make very competent products. Look at the C8 Corvette, the newest Black Wings from Cadillac, the Hummer EV, the Silverado EV, and they also have pretty good experience with electrification, starting with the Volt in 2010, and currently the Bolt. This will probably piss off a lot of Honda fans and purists, but if Honda had to work with GM to bring back the S2000, I say do it. Very hot take, I know. So this ZDX, or Acura's Precision EV Concept, will be, quote, previewing the performance brand's future designs. LOL at performance brand. But there will be some performance here, as they will be bringing a Type S model to the ZDX, which is also welcome. So will this be more compelling than the Cadillac Lyriq, which has been receiving pretty great reviews, or even the Chevy Blazer? Today we'll be finding out as we go over the design language of Acura's new concept, as well as the potential powertrains that this vehicle could have as well. So let's start with the design. Acura was inspired by luxury powerboats. And let's be honest, I'm not really seeing it too much throughout the design because speed boosts tend to be pretty sculpted and sleek. This looks a little bit blockish in my opinion. If you can't tell already, I'm not really digging the concept that much as I have other Acura concepts. For example, the first Precision concept. I really like that one, as well as the TLX Type S concept. I thought they looked great, but this one just doesn't really hit the same spot for me as those concepts. Overall, I think the design here sort of looks like a CX-9 did it with an Infiniti QX50. Going towards the front, we do see a chicane headlight design, and it looks like they're getting rid of the July LED headlights in favor of a more singular LED headlight module. We do have this grille, which I actually find pretty tacky. Acura basically took what the Cadillac Lyriq was doing but made it worse. I think it actually looks pretty good and cool on the Lyriq. They managed to make this design look very classy on the Lyriq with multiple individual LED headlights, but here it just doesn't look as well executed. Going below the grille, we do see a similar kind of bumper design that you would get on something like the Integra, and we do see that copy of the General Motors design language, in that they're making the LEDs headlights light up on this application of the ZDX, but again, it's just not as well executed as General Motors did it, in my opinion. If we take a look at the side profile right here, it kind of looks like a Mazda. Again, I'm seeing a bunch of MX-5 vibes when we put up on this picture right here, and I'll put up a comparison showing. Overall, the side profile is also where I get those QX50 vibes. And we can see that this is definitely based on the Ultima platform. There's some similar lines here and there, but if you look towards the rear, we do see that floating roof design, which is reminiscent of the QX50 again. We do have new 23-inch wheels with this particle glitch design that was also featured on the front lower bumper as well. And again, I don't think these will be too complex in production. Like, imagine curbing those wheels. We also see those side mirror cameras thing, and it's weird that they put that here because it's illegal to sell that in the United States compared to Europe and Asian countries. And also, Acura isn't sold anywhere else in the world, which kind of gives me a sign of how the brand is doing overall. But if we do take a look at the back, it does look like a slimmer version of the MDX lights. But when I look at these, I'm kind of reminded of the Mazda CX-9. The Acura logo is also lit up here as well, and it could be a sign that they're going to be doing away with traditional logos. And we also see a similar spoiler top of what we also get on the Cadillac Lyriq. So overall, I'm just not feeling the proportions and some of the exterior design elements of this vehicle. Hopefully they can clean it up and look a little bit better, but I think it's just a little too boxy And I feel like when the Cadillac Lyriq was announced and also revealed in prototype, I feel like that did a better job of wowing than this vehicle does. And that might just be a thing when you're basing one vehicle very heavily on another vehicle. And I do hope they at least bring a minimum, either a panoramic or a glass roof with a power sunshade that either the Cadillac Lyriq and also SUVs that will probably be in the price range will have. Moving on to the interior, so there's a lot to talk about here. Acura says that this vehicle is inspired by Formula One race cars, and I can actually see the design elements in this interior design right here. The first elephant in the room here is going to be that yoke steering wheel. As we know, the Tesla yoke steering wheels haven't been really that well received, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So hopefully that goes in production, and I think Toyota did a similar thing with their BZ4X and also the Lexus RZ450E. I also have a theory that Acura is going to be using the General Motors infotainment system, as we can see with the one that's on the right here, and it does have a similar design element to the 7.7-inch screen that is in the Chevy Blazer. It also looks like to be focused to the driver, which is also similar to what the Chevy Blazer does as well. I feel like the digital gauge cluster that we see here is also going to be pretty similar to the Chevy Blazer. With this Acura concept, they do break it up. And in the Chevy Blazer, it's kind of more connected but separated by plastic. And it looks like the digital gauge cluster here is treated like the BZ4X, which is farther away from the driver and is supposed to act as the gauge cluster, of course, but also as a sort of heads-up display, so Acura doesn't need to add both here. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. I do see use of a lot of premium materials, more so than I have with any other Acura model up to date. We see some nice open pore wood along the dashboard as well as the door panels. The wood is also on the center console, which is a pretty nice addition as well. And I feel like this is a nice step forward for Acura, as they haven't had the same premium feel and finishes that these other luxury brands have had, in my opinion. And to be honest, Acura is kind of forced to do so here because this vehicle is probably no less than $60,000 to start. Acura says that the marbled plastic material trim and 100% biomass leather and aluminum is all recycled, so they are looking a little more eco-friendly here. The second picture we are shown is of the ambient lighting of the vehicle. And it looks like there's going to be ambient lighting running across the dash, across the door panel, which is a nice upgrade compared to a lot of what Acura has been offering so far. And this image sort of solidifies the idea that they'll be using the Blazer's infotainment system. So this will be called the Instinctive Drive Mode, and it's supposed to, quote, maximize the joy performance driving by elevating the dynamic connection with the machine and the racing style digital gauge cluster. And I'm going to skip the rest of that. So the third picture right here is going to be the ambient lighting presented a little bit different. It looks like the ambient lighting here is behind the wood, and also the ambient lighting in the middle of the dash, which also runs behind the infotainment system, which is clear in this picture. So what I hope here is that they combine both elements and that users will be able to use all the interior lights throughout the vehicle. And some upper luxury cars, as well as the MDX, you're able to assign multiple colors to different tiers of the infotainment system, and I just hope that they do something here. I also like this Starry Nights constellation ambient lighting that I'm seeing in the middle of the dash. I actually think this looks very classy, very elegant, and it's only features that vehicles such as like a Rolls-Royce would have. That's the only one that comes to mind. And on the bottom, we do see an ocean projection. In my opinion, they can keep the ocean projection, but the Starry Nights definitely put that on the production model. So this interior picture is also called the Spiritual Lounge. From this quote right here, this also means that we're going to get an active fragrance systems. Many of the Germans, such as BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, have them. And this also makes sense to offer on a higher end vehicle here. So in general, with this interior, I'm actually liking a lot more of what I'm seeing compared to the exterior. Hopefully they can get this right. I think Cadillac did an excellent job with their interiors. And you can argue that it's even nicer than something like the BMW iX or the Audi versions of their electric vehicles. And I think that the finishes in the 33-inch display that the Cadillac offers just makes it look very classy. So To be honest, I'm not sure if Acura can actually top what the Cadillac Lyriq is offering, but I do think that the interior that they have here does look classy. There is premiumness to it, so I hope that they keep a lot of the elements here going into the full production model. Now let's talk about the potential performance that this vehicle could have. So the GM Ultium platform supports both front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. We see this in the Chevy Blazer EV, which supports all three. I hope Acura goes the way of the Lyriq and makes it rear-wheel drive. It also probably has to be their second rear-wheel drive vehicle other than like the NSX. And if they do make it front-wheel drive, I will be disappointed. I hope we get the 340 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque, single motor, rear-wheel drive from the Cadillac Lyriq as well. That'll be a pretty good base model, and the battery pack for that is 100 kilowatt hours. In the Lyriq, it gets 312 miles per hour. And I feel like that's the perfect number for electric vehicles. A little bit over 300 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, which is pretty great. You can't complain about that. The Type S could get the all-wheel drive Lyriq number, which is about 500 horsepower and 524 pound-feet of torque, and an estimated range of 287 miles. It's estimated to have a 4.9 0 to 60 time. And if they get crazy, they could just take the Blazer SS powertrain, which can produce up to 557 horsepower and 648 pound-feet of torque and reach 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds using the wide open watts, which the Hummer EV has a similar feature, which is like a boost feature. And then the SS actually gets better range with 290 miles. These platforms have 190 kilowatt fast charging. It's not going to be good as something like the Ioniq or the Kia EV6 with their 350 kilowatt fast charging, but it should be enough for most people. And if you're just charging this at night, it won't be an issue at all. And I do want to address the safety here. Will Honda use GM Super Cruise, which is a pretty great system and arguably better than Tesla's autopilot and Ford's hand-free driver system, and I wouldn't mind if they just copy and pasted that here. However, in 2021, we did get reports from Honda that they were developing their own Level 3 autonomous system called Honda Traffic Jam Pilot. It's also included with an enhanced version of Honda Sensing, which is their advanced driver assistance technology called Honda Sensing Elite. This system was featured on the Honda Legend, which was also the Acura RLX here in the United States. So in conclusion, I do think that this new ZDX will be a pretty interesting car if they just get a couple elements correct. And maybe along with this ZDX, they'll also bring back the Accord Crosstour, or the Crosstour, as another electric vehicle instead of the Prologue for 2024. But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts of this new ZDX or Acura Precision EV concept or whatever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching if you have made it this far. And please leave a like and subscribe, as well as you can comment down below. So thanks for watching. Peace.